It's generally accepted that most of the cars from the various cheap car challenges held on Top Gear never made it beyond the programme. However, there was one that kept popping up in the comments, so I decided to take a look, and that car was the Mitsubishi Starion Turbo from the two-door coupes that are not a Porsche for under £1,500 challenge. So let's see what I found out. Now, this challenge first aired on the 29th of May 2005, nearly 20 years ago now, and it featured James May in a Jaguar XJS and Richard Hammond in a BMW 635 and Jeremy Clarkson in the Mitsubishi Starion Turbo. As ever, what we need to do is a little bit of housekeeping first on the Jag and the BMW. Now, these two cars, the Jaguar was registration number FRW975Y and the BMW was A922YBL. Neither of these cars appear on the DVLA when you do a vehicle check. And if we also look at the MOT history, they've never been submitted for an electronic version of the MOT, which came in sort of over 2005, 2006. So these cars don't seem to have appeared anywhere since then. More than likely have been scrapped. If we look at my car check, there's no certificate of destruction being issued for either of those cars. But interestingly, if we look at the last change of keeper, the BMW was the 22nd of April 2005 and the Jaguar was the 21st of April 2005, so within a day of each other. My guess is these have been scrapped. I'm 99.99% certain of that one. They were fairly battered and yeah, they've not appeared anywhere since, so we can write those two off. So on to the car that we're really interested in, and this was the Mitsubishi Starion EX Turbo, registration number J546MDD, and the wide body version, of course, which is the one that I really like because it's a bit like a Quattro and I've got a bit of a thing for wide arches. Now, in the programme, Jeremy Clarkson claimed this was the last one ever registered, and if we look at my car check, we can see the registration date of this one was the 29th of August 1991. Now, doing some research, these cars were manufactured up to 1989, so yeah, quite possibly that could be the last one ever, but we've got more on that later. Now, if we go to DVLA, we can see it's still active on there. However, the MOT has expired, and the last one expired 18th August 2011. And if we look back at the MOT history, since 2005 when the electronic ones come in, it didn't have anything up until 2009. We had a small fail and a pass, and then subsequent year 2010, same again, small fail and then a pass. Double checking over on my car check, there's no certificate of destruction and there's no sort of export or anything like that, so at the moment we're all good. It could well be about. So what else have I found out? Well, looking on YouTube, I managed to find this video back from the 28th of July 2009, posted by a chap called Paul Andrews, it was basically a promo video for his eBay auction for that car. And I haven't been able to pull up the original eBay ad, but I have found the components of it, which I've got for you on screen now, and explains all about the car, how it's been signed by Jeremy Clarkson, say it's the best car in the world, etc. And it's still in that great Clitheroe Carpets livery. And if we look back at the MOT history, we can see that the 2009 MOT was actually just a few days after that video was posted, so that all ties in nicely. Well, the good news is I've managed to get hold of Paul, who posted that video and was selling the car, to find out a little bit more about it. And the incredible story is he actually owned that car before it went to Top Gear. He says that he was actually contacted about selling it, and the person that negotiated for it and received it was none other than not Jeremy Clarkson. It was in fact James May. And Paul went on to tell me that he was actually part of the support team working on the cars during the filming, so particularly in the pit stops in those last races, he was there fettling them. I also went on to ask him about Clarkson's claims. Was it the last one registered in the UK? Apparently, yes it was. And also the fact he put Penty Auricula's rally car turbo on it, which I always thought, that sounds a bit of a Clarkson one. But no, turns out Paul owned several rally versions of this car, and yes, that turbo did come from Penty Auricula's rally car. So for once, Clarkson wasn't over egging the situation. Once the show was over, Paul agreed to actually buy the car back. He didn't actually put it back on the road at that time, but did do some rebuild work on it, rebuilt the engine, and put a new clutch in it and a few other parts. And unfortunately, it did sort of sit laid up for quite a while, and eventually in 2009, due to, as he said, the usual things of time, space and money, he decided to sell it on. Now, this is where we often lose the trail of these cars. It moves on to the new owner, but not this time. Step up Matt, who is the new owner of the Mitsubishi Starion, and he said that he'd actually wanted one for quite some time. He'd sourced one for his brother back in about 2005, a gold narrow-bodied one, and since then he'd always hankered after his own. And when this came up for sale on eBay, he decided it was going to be his. So he got hold of Paul, and not having physically seen the car, he decided he was having it. They agreed a price. So Paul set off with a friend up to Blackpool in Lancashire, which was for him a 280-mile trip. And being in Blackpool by the seaside, him and his mate decided to go out for a few drinks and probably had a few too many. And Matt admits that the following morning he was a little bit green. Anyway, off they go to meet Paul, and the car was exactly what he expected, exactly as it looked in the show. And he also did a deal with Paul to put a load of extra spares in the car, because we've already heard that he had a load of extra cars. And he set off for the 280-mile trip home. Now, initially, he says he was a little bit disappointed with the car because he felt it wasn't really boosting and, you know, it wasn't quite what he'd expected. So stopped at a service station, and when he investigated, the Clarkson fitted electric boost switch had failed. So he manually overrid that and managed to get the car to give full boost, and in his own words, left the service station sideways. Following that, the car drove home without fault, and it was everything he expected. He said it was his dream car and he owned it. What could be better? After getting it home, he fitted a override switch for the cooling fan to help that side of things, and unfortunately the overboosting turbo pooed itself, I think was the word he used, and unfortunately chucked a load of oil out of the exhaust, so it was a bit of a smoke screen at that time, but he's got that fixed. A little bit later in 2009, he decided to explore its drifting abilities in a local industrial estate. Obviously, behaviour we can't condone here at Oscar's Garage. And he was enjoying himself, and there's some great pictures of it drifting around. Unfortunately, he wasn't aware that a local copper was sat round the corner and watching his behaviour, and popped out to say hello. At this point, Matt thought, he goes, you know, he could see his licence going to the shredder, court cases, points, etc., etc. However, turned out the copper was a big fan of Top Gear, and after a bit of issuing, I think the phrase is words of advice, he let him off. So Matt did breathe quite a big sigh of relief after that one. Then in 2010, he took it to Jackfest, not to show, he just left it in the car park. You know, went for a wander round, bought the usual overpriced food, etc. Wandered back to his car and discovered the crowd round it in the car park. And everyone had recognised it from the TV programme, and people were asking to have their picture taken inside it and everything. So Matt was quite chuffed about that one. In 2011, Matt decided to up the boost and fitted bigger injectors, but unfortunately, the bottom end of the engine wasn't in agreement with this and let go apparently quite spectacularly. And this is what triggered him taking the car off the road. He wanted to do sort of restore the bodywork on it and rebuild the engine. The engine's getting a full rebuild. It's going to get a Group A bottom end. It's got upgraded pistons, and it's going to have a Cosworth turbo. Body-wise, a body shop had agreed to take it on to restore it, but unfortunately they then changed their mind, leaving Matt unfortunately a bit high and dry. Eventually now, a good friend has agreed to take it on. And apparently, apart from some rust in the seals and some filler in the rear arches, it really wasn't too bad. So that's quite a good sign. And yes, the question you're asking, what's it going to get painted like? It's going to get painted in that Top Gear livery with Clitheroe carpets down the side. So I think that's great. And of course, one of the problems with these older cars is part supply. But Matt has got that covered because he hasn't got just the Top Gear Starion. He's got 3 others as well. And this one I think looks rather nice. And what caught my eye is, I recognised where the car was parked. It's a garage just down the road from me, and I went, he's local. So I've had a chat with Matt, and hopefully, once the car is up and running again, we can go and have a look. Wouldn't that be great to see it again after all these years? Well, commenters, you were right. The Mitsubishi Starion has survived. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.